Okay, so this is the fifth and last part of my video discussion on advanced nutritional biochemistry of nutrients. But before we continue, I would just like to point out nga naatay inani day no summary of B vitamins as coenzymes. So you will understand this no later on sa recording because I will be discussing this. Okay, because B vitamins are all involved as coenzyme, especially in energy metabolism. So these are the enzymes that need each of these B vitamins as their coenzymes. So for example, for thiamine, mauni ang mga enzymes that would need thiamine as its coenzyme form, which is thiamine pyrophosphate or thiamine diphosphate. And the biochemical function is oxidative decarboxylation. And then the metabolic pathways are also given here. Okay, so para na siya summary. So naaragya po ni siya sa folder sa ND51 class reporting where you can also find the presentations of your classmates or the reports of your classmates. And of course, naasa diri ang summary of micronutrients. Ihatag na ko ni sa inyo ha. Katong basic nutrition pa lang, no? So, I advise you to listen first to the reports of your classmates and then kani dayon no kay mao ni ang mag-summarize ato tanan. And of course, kani ako ang video recording and kaning uban diri nga ako ang gikuan. Of course, nakabuhat na kog summary for vitamins. So, I will also make a summary separate no sa minerals. So, diri pud na ko i-upload. Okay? And of course, naa diri ang PowerPoint sa kaning discussion na ko ron. Okay? So, to continue, dito sa water-soluble vitamins. Okay. So, water-soluble vitamins, they are very related with each other, especially in their function because they are all involved as coenzyme. Okay? Coenzymes are, of course, needed by the enzymes para mag-work sila, di ba? And these enzymes are very important no, in energy metabolism, especially in energy metabolism. And this is just a portion of the metabolic map in humans. So, in the final term, mao ni atong hisgutan, no? But I'm just showing you how a portion of the metabolic map in humans looks like. Okay, mao ni. Okay. Yeah, if more detailed, mao ni siya. So, anyways, sa final term na ni siya, no? But nganong ginapakita na ako ni ron because these vitamins work in certain areas in our metabolic map. Okay? So, the B vitamins are coenzymes. Okay? They are helpers of enzymes. They need, these enzymes are dependent with these vitamins, no? Para mag-function sila. Okay? So, kung walay vitamins, walay B vitamins, dili ni sila mag-work ng mga enzymes because they are coenzymes. Okay? They are needed by the enzymes. Okay? So, for example here, thiamine, iyahang coenzyme form is thiamine pyrophosphate or thiamine diphosphate. Same ra na sila. Riboflavin is as FAD or FMN. Okay, naana ni siya sa summary, di ba? Katong active forms and yeah, naka-enumerate dito, no? Diri. Kani. So, naka-enumerate na diri. Okay? And katong dito sa summary. Okay? Niacin, NAD, and NADP, vitamin B6, pyridoxal phosphate, folate, tetrahydrofolate, pantothenic acid as CoA, as part of the CoA, biotin simply as biotin that is needed by the holocarboxylases, and vitamin B12 as B12. Okay, so For protein metabolism, mauni nga mga vitamins ang involved, B3, B6, B1, B12. Sa carbohydrate metabolism, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, pantothenic acid, and B12. Sa fat metabolism, FAD, FMN, NAD, CoA, B12. And take note of the interconversions. So, all of these are needed in order for us to be able to harvest energy from foods. Yeah, okay. As a coenzyme, mo ni ilahang work, no? Mag-bind sila into or with a portion of the enzyme so that when they bind with the enzyme, the substrate would better fit with the rest of the enzyme. Okay, so for example, this one, enzyme is inactive without coenzyme. So mao niyang substrate sa enzyme, then dili siya mo fit, di ba? Kay kung kani i-fit ni mo ni ani, it would simply not fit, di ba? Oh, so therefore the enzyme cannot do its job without added coenzyme. But in here, mas better fit siya, di ba? For example, kaning coenzyme mag-fit ani nga portion, so therefore kaning nga compound mas better fit siya ani. So therefore, chemical reaction would be able to take place. Diba? So you learn from biochemistry, diba? Shape is very important. It's very important nga ang shape sa compound fit sa enzyme para mo work ang reaction. Okay? So this is how coenzyme does its job. So this is a metabolic pathway, set of metabolic pathways actually, that involve the B vitamins. Okay? You don't have to memorize this, ha? Disclaimer lang, ayaw sa idili sa ninyo ni i-memorize yun kay final term pa man ni siya, but ako lang ginapakita kung aha sila dapit mag-work sa metabolism. For example, in the breakdown of glycogen to glucose, so that's glycogenolysis, vitamin B6 as pyridoxal phosphate is needed. Okay? And in glycolysis, which is the process of breaking down of glucose to pyruvate, need og niacin or NAD. Okay? And of course, kaning cycle, this is the Krebs cycle or the TCA cycle, and as you can see here, na-address si NAD, TPP, FAD, and okay? Okay. So, yeah, di ba? So, in the transamination processes, need si pyridoxal phosphate and other vitamins as well. Okay? In the electron transport chain, kinahanglan si B2 as FMN and B3 as NAD. And another coenzyme form of B2, which is FAD, is also needed at this particular point. Diba? So, inana siya. Okay? In the conversion of acetyl-CoA to fat, needs si biotin. Okay. So, actually naka-summarize sa pud ang naa dito sa katong summary sa micronutrients. Naa po dito kung aha mas involve ang vitamin, kung sa fat metabolism ba, carbohydrate, or protein metabolism. Okay, so mao lang to yung timan-an, no? So this is another pictorial representation of the role of B vitamins in energy metabolism. So as you can see here, diri sila ga-participate dapit. Okay? So again, ayaw sa ninyo i-memorize kaning mga substrates. Yeah, I'm just, I'm pointing out to you nga naay mga specific regions sa, for example, sa TCA cycle where a vitamin is needed as a coenzyme. Okay? So muna ingon nato nga di ba na ay advertisement sa Enervon nga Enervon ba kay B vitamin supplement. So na advertisement sa Enervon nga um, para daw kuno mo taas imong energy level. So diri nila gi-base actually sa function of the B vitamins as helpers of enzymes that would help harvest energy. Okay? Oh, so another na sad ni nga representation. So anyways, naaman tong summary. So maulang to yung studyhan, maulang to yung timanan kanira. Ah, wait. Um, kanira no. Okay. Maulang sa ni. Okay. Ayaw lang sa i-mind kung aha sila dapit nga metabolic map. Okay? Another representation. Okay? Kung aha dapit ga participate si B vitamins nimo. Okay? So, later on, sa final term, balikan na to ni. And definitely, ma-question na siya, no? Like, unsa nga enzyme ang mag-need, ay, unsa nga metabolic pathway needed si, for example, biotin. Okay? So we get energy on a daily basis from carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins, but primarily from carbohydrates. So what events must occur to enable us to employ these dietary components for energy? And that is a series of metabolic pathways leading to um, production of ATP in the electron transport chain. So needed si B vitamin. So let's discuss first the role of thiamine or B1. So this is the active form in the body, thiamine pyrophosphate or thiamine diphosphate. Okay. And this is an example of an enzyme that needs thiamine as its coenzyme. So ahad rin ang thiamine kani. Okay? Kani nga part. So this is also an example of an enzyme that is called an enzyme complex. That means it can be called as a single enzyme, but in reality, it is composed of more than one enzymes like this one. Ang tawag ani is pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, and this enzyme is an enzyme complex. That means aside from being a pyruvate dehydrogenase, it can also act as a dihydrolipoyl transacetylase or dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase. All in all, kani siya nga enzyme complex, dili ra siya mag-need og thiamine, but it would also need vitamin B2 as FAD and vitamin B3 as NAD. And mag-need pud siya og lipoic acid, which is not an essential nutrient, okay? But important yapon siya. Pero since di man siya essential nutrient, so ma-produce siya sa body. So, yeah. So, later on, sa final term, mag-ila-ila ta kung aha ni dapit si pyruvate dehydrogenase, makit-an sa metabolism. Okay, let's proceed to vitamin B2. So, vitamin B2 has two active forms as FAD and as FMN. Okay? FAD has also two states if oxidized or reduced. FAD-H2 is the reduced form of FAD, and the oxidized form is FAD+. Okay? So therefore, si FAD-H2 can be oxidized, and once it is oxidized, it can become FAD+. So FAD+ is the oxidized form. And FAD+ can return back to the reduced form by accepting electron. So kung mag-accept na siya electron, then ma-reduce siya. So may mo siyang balik sa FAD-H2, which is the reduced form. Okay? So therefore, your B2 involves in the redox reactions. So redox reactions are very important in the metabolism, especially in energy metabolism. So we will also discuss that in the final term. Okay. So yeah. So diri dapit no si FADH2 sa conversion ni succinate to fumarate sa Krebs cycle. Okay, so diri siya ga act as a coenzyme. Yeah. FADH2 is a riboflavin-dependent component. The FADH2 produce also contributes electrons for ATP synthesis in the ETC. Napod siya yung role diri as a katong ingon nako ganina nga part siya sa or coenzyme po siya sa pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. So, redox reactions niya. So, oxidized ang FAD plus and reduced or reduced si FADH2. Okay? What about vitamin B3? Vitamin B3 also participates in redox reaction similar to vitamin B2. Okay? And remember ha, katong mga coenzyme forms ni vitamin B3. And there are two forms of niacin that are also the active forms of niacin in the body. We have NADH and NADPH, and all of these are in the reduced form. Okay? Mm. So, for example, ang oxidized form is NAD, ang reduced form is NADH. Okay? Sa NADP ang reduced, oxidized form and NADPH is reduced form. Makabalo man ka sa reduced form kay na H, so that means naka-accept siya electron. No? Okay. So, niacin as a component of NADH and NADPH. These participate in more than 200 biochemical reactions that are essential for health. Okay. Each red arrow is a step in formation of ATP from glucose that uses niacin. So, mo nga mga regions from glucose down to energy generation nga magkinahanglan og niacin as coenzyme. For example, in glycolysis, there is a step in step 6 that also uses NAD as its coenzyme. Okay? Specifically, glyceraldehyde phosphate dehydrogenase, which will not function without niacin. Here also, this is the electron transport chain. NADH serves as an electron carrier. That means it carries electrons from the from glycolysis and Krebs cycle. So once nga naa na siya sa complex 1, NADH would then be oxidized, so therefore makuhaan siya og H plus, and in turn ma-reduce si complex 1. Okay? So ang NADH mahimong NAD plus. Remember, NAD plus is the oxidized form. Kaya nga nung ma-oxidize man siya, kaya nakuhaan man siya electron, kaya iya hamang gidonate diri. Okay? So, I don't know if you can remember your general biochem or your katong sa senior high pa mo, basig naghisgot mo ani, but mas masabtan nato ni siya sa final term. Okay? So, okay. So, in order to produce ATP, no, NADH would just donate its electron, okay, para ma-stimulate ang production of ATP. And ang end product niya is NAD+. And ang NAD+, mo balik ni siya sa glycolysis and Krebs cycle para mo accept og additional or another round of electrons para i-donate na sad niya sa ETC para continuous ang production sa ATP. Okay? So this is very simplified, of course. So we will just, don't worry, we'll just delve with the details in the final term. Okay. So, yeah. This graphic shows no that some dietary tryptophan is converted to niacin. Remember that niacin can be biosynthesized by the body, but it's not enough because tryptophan is itself an essential amino acid. So tryptophan will not cover all the niacin needs of the body. So therefore, niacin remains an essential nutrient. Okay, but it is estimated that for every 60 milligrams of tryptophan, there would be 1 milligram of niacin produced. Okay, so mauni ang pathway that is needed para makaproduce ng niacin from tryptophan. Okay, so tryptophan can also be converted to serotonin and then to melatonin. So kani nga mga of course na encounter na ninyo ni nga mga hormones sa atong discussion, previous discussions. Okay? So gikan diay na sila sa tryptophan. Okay? So ang tawag aning tryptophan to niacin nga pathway is kynurenine pathway. Okay? Again, you don't have to memorize the enzymes here. I'm just showing no that niacin is derived from tryptophan. Now, let's proceed to vitamin B5. Remember that vitamin B5 is a part of the coenzyme A. And coenzyme A is essential because it's the central metabolite. That means all of the macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats become acetyl-CoA at some point. Yes, so every macronutrient can be converted to acetyl coenzyme A. So kaning acetyl nga part mao nang gikan sa macronutrients and ang CoA naa diha ang pantothenic acid nato. So without pantothenic acid, CoA would definitely not be produced, and energy metabolism would be impossible without B5. So although we might treat no B5 as a minor vitamin, but it's not. It's very important. Okay? So tanan nga na ay CoA, guys, kung makakita ta sa metabolism CoA, so diha pod ang role ni pantothenic acid. For example, HMG-CoA is a very important substrate in cholesterol synthesis. So therefore, B5 functions in cholesterol synthesis. Okay? If you kaning malonyl CoA, very important pod sa fatty acid synthesis. So pantothenic acid is also involved in fatty acid synthesis. Succinyl-CoA is also a very important metabolite in the production of heme, which will turn into hemoglobin and therefore erythropoiesis. So need yapon si pantothenic acid in erythropoiesis. Diba? And of course, energy generation, dayon. Okay? What about vitamin B6? Vitamin B6, iyahang active form in the body is pyridoxal phosphate. And kani readily distinguishable ang role ni B6 because needed siya um, sa transamination processes involving amino acids. So therefore, very important siya sa protein metabolism. Okay? I'm just checking if naka-record ko. Okay. Ga-fluctuate among signal. Okay. Yeah, kani. Anyways, I will discuss more about transamination in the final term, okay? So basta sa transamination processes, ang coenzyme is B6. Okay? B6 is also involved in the production of neurotransmitters. Okay? We have here the catecholamines, epinephrine or epinephrine. So, may tabo ni siya sa adrenal glands ang catecholamine synthesis. Yeah. So, needed si B6 kaning naa diri sa yellow, kaning naka-shade nga yellow. Okay? So, AADC or aromatic L-amino acid decarboxylase needs B6 as its coenzyme. So, therefore, B6 is involved in the production of neurotransmitters like catecholamines and dopamine. And remember that dopamine is involved in mood, no? So, maunang it is theorized that depression may also be caused by vitamin B6 deficiency. Okay? Also, remember ha, kung aha magikan si epinephrine and norepinephrine and dopamine gikan kay tyrosine. Pero ang tryptophan precursor na siya sa niacin, melatonin and serotonin. Okay. Mm. B6 is also needed in the production of serotonin. Diba? So, dili lang di ay um, si B3 no ang involved dito but also si B6 sad because B6 is needed as a coenzyme of aromatic L-amino acid decarboxylase, okay, which is a rate limiting step in the production of serotonin. Oh, AADC or dopa decarboxylase or tryptophan decarboxylase needs PLP as a coenzyme. So, same ra ni silang enzyme. Like term, but same ra na sila. Okay, let's proceed to B7. So, the biochemical reaction that biotin catalyzes is carboxylation or carbon dioxide transfer. So, this is usually needed no para ma-elongate ang carbon chain. Okay? Like for example, kaning acetyl-CoA, this is two carbon fragment. That means it's composed of two carbon atoms. So para ma-lengthen siya into three, mag-need og carbon dioxide. And you know that carbon dioxide has one carbon atom. So one carbon atom plus two carbon fragments is equal to three carbon fragment. So your three carbon fragment is called malonyl CoA or malonelic acid. Okay? So, na may CoA, so therefore, naasad B5 diri. Diba? Oh. So, this is a rate limiting step actually in fatty acid synthesis. That's why biotin is very important in fatty acid synthesis. Okay? So, biotin is needed by uh, is needed by carboxylases. Okay? So need they are carboxylases need biotin no, as coenzyme. Okay? So when you say carboxylation, mag-add og carbon dioxide. Okay? At this point, I would just like to insert this one. This is the stages of marginal micronutrient deficiency. So this is how the stages in deficiency proceed. Okay, from the earliest to the most advanced stage of micronutrient deficiency. Ang stage 0 is actually dietary inadequacy kay diha man magsugod yun ang deficiency kung kulang sa diet. So that's stage 0. Stage 1 is um, depletion of vitamin stores. Okay? So unahon sa ka-exhaust ang storage no sa vitamins para in an effort to normalize the plasma levels. Okay? So sa stage 1, wala pa alteration sa blood plasma because man-normalize man ang blood plasma although naanay deficiency but nganong normal ang blood plasma it's because naamay storage. So kanang storage i-release na para ma-normalize ang blood plasma pero depleted na di ay ang stores. So maunang stage 1. So in order for you to detect stage 1, you have to check for the storage not for the levels in the blood. Okay? Stage 2, um non-specific biochemical adaptation. So, decreased excretion of metabolites in the urine. Stage 3, diri na usually magsugod o manifest ang mga first physical signs like lack of energy, malaise, loss of appetite, and insomnia. Stage 4, naanay mark disturbances in the morphological, metabolic, and functional aspects. And mas pronounced na ang mga physiological changes. And stage 5, mauning pinaka-advance, dili na nato makitaan ang clinical signs. Mauning ma-readily observe na nato nga, ay, kani siya kay deficient siya ani nga nutrient. Such as this one. This is already in the stage 5 and we can really tell no nga ay grabe na gid ka-advance and grabe na gid ka-late. So therefore, dugay na gid di ay siya deficient ani nga nutrient. Okay? Naa na sa stage 5. Okay? So kaning mga koilonychia which is an indication of iron deficiency, kanang makit-an nato clinically, makit-an nato through physical exam, usually late na nga manifestation sa micronutrient deficiency. Okay? So this is actually glossitis and you usually read this no sa kanang mga deficiency signs and symptoms sa mga nutrients, di ba? Mm. Atrophic glossitis is very smooth looking and this is not normal. Okay? Ang normal is na ay na ay mga rough looking surfaces ni parehas ani. So, mo ni deficient but after treatment na normalize na. Okay? So kani dili man ni normal kani nga portion kay naana dapat mga puti-puti diya parehas ani, di ba? If you look at your tongue no through the mirror, inani ang normal. Okay? Glossitis uh, is an is indicative of B complex deficiency, especially riboflavinosis or vitamin B2 deficiency. Chelosis is another indicator of riboflavinosis. Okay, so kani. And I assume at some point in your childhood naka-experience mo ani. And yeah, that's actually riboflavinosis. Petechiae, this is another clinical sign of usually vitamin C deficiency. Okay? It's not pronounced as petechiae, but it's petechiae. Due to dili maayo ng integrity sa capillaries. So, because vitamin C is needed in collagen synthesis, right? And if kulang ang vitamin C, then dali ra madaot ang capillaries and this would lead to kaning mga bruising, kaning mga lesions. Okay. Anyways, let's proceed na to B9 and B12, which are the main players in the so-called biomethylation or the methylation process or the 1-carbon metabolism. So, kanisiya, it is also involved in the regulation of homocysteine and it is also involved in a phenomenon called the folate trap. So, unsa ka ni sila? So, why do we need to study and understand this particular topic? Simply because this is very important. So, after this topic, you must be able to understand the following points: the conversion from homocysteine to methionine and its health significance. Homocysteine is an indicator of cardiovascular disease risk. Nga kung mutaas ang homocysteine level sa blood, then it is indicative of greater risk of cardiovascular disease. So that's why kinahanglan ni siya ma-convert into methionine because this is bad news, especially if mutaas ang iyang level sa blood. So, B9 and B12 are or play a key role in this. You will also understand or you will also be able to realize the interrelationships of the different B vitamins in just one set of reactions. You would also understand the mechanism as to why folate status can mask off the real culprit, which is vitamin B12 deficiency. Okay? You will also understand the functions of respective B vitamins in hematopoiesis or red blood cell production, in DNA synthesis, and in myelin sheath synthesis. And myelin sheath is a very important component of the nerve cells. Diba? Myelin sheath protects the nerve cells from the electricity that it generates. Okay, because it's an insulator. Okay, so this is actually how biomethylation looks like. Okay, okay. So asa diri si vitamin B12 kani methylcobalamin. Okay, and remember that methylcobalamin is one of the active forms of B12. Na siya'y methyl. Methyl is just a one carbon fragment. So it's CH3. Mauna iyahang general nga formula CH3. So it's a one carbon fragment. One carbon fragment that is covalently linked with cobalamin molecule. One carbon ra na siya but very important na siya diri. Okay? Because as you can see here, katong dito sa summary, um, unsa ang function ni folate and cobalamin methylation or one carbon metabolism. Kay una ang ilahang function, di ba? Involved in methylation. So when you say methylation, it's just the transfer of methyl or one carbon fragment. Okay? Kaning methylation man gud kay very important ni siya. Wala, wait. Unsa man ni nganong di naman ni makit-an. Na. ah na. Okay. Daghan biological functions si methyl group such as gene expression and production of these very important molecules in the body. So para mas masabtan ni magsugod ta diri sa role ni B12 as methylcobalamin. So methylcobalamin would donate its methyl group to homocysteine. And this is catalyzed by an enzyme called methionine synthase. So therefore si methylcobalamin mahimo na lang cobalamin kay iyahang release si methyl gidonate niya kay homocysteine. And since maka-receive man si homocysteine og methyl group, so mahimo siyang methionine. So therefore we can say that methionine is just one methyl group plus homocysteine. Okay? So that is how we actually convert homocysteine to methionine through an addition of one methyl group. So si B12 ang mag-donate kay homocysteine para mahimo siyang methionine. Another way to for what's this? For homocysteine to be used in the body is homocysteine can be converted to cysteine or cysteine. Okay? And vitamin B6 is needed for that. So vitamin B6 is needed as a coenzyme para ang homocysteine ma-convert eventually to cysteine. Okay? So this is also another way to neutralize homocysteine in the body, not just ma-convert siya to methionine, but homocysteine can also be lowered, its levels can also be lowered by converting it to cysteine, which is a much less harmless amino acid. Another way nga ang homocysteine ma-convert into methionine is betaine. Betaine is only produced no when naay choline. So choline actually mahimong betaine. So therefore si choline as another essential nutrient also participates in biomethylation sa dili nga part. Okay. Now, unsaon man ni si methionine? Methionine is converted to S-adenosyl methionine and mauning gamiton sa lawas guys para makaproduce tag phosphatidylcholine which is an essential part of all the cells in the body. S-adenosyl methionine is also needed in the formation of myelin sheath. Okay? Some is also needed in the melatonin, catecholamines, DNA and RNA production. Okay? So as you can see here, some is very important. Okay? So, if kulang si cobalamin, magkulang pud ning some eventually. It's true that there are other pathways para makaproduce tag some, pero kaning through choline betaine pathway, um, dili pud ni siya enough. Okay? And sometimes, kung kulang kag B12, so therefore kulang kag animal foods, so therefore magkulang po kag choline because much of the choline is actually found in animals, not in plants. So kung kulang kag animal foods, kulang kag both B12 and choline. So therefore, dili gyapon ka makaproduce og some nga daghan kaayo nga enough, and that would lead to disruption in the production of these very important molecules in the body. And as a consequence also, homocysteine would elevate, and once mag-elevate sa homocysteine, that's bad news because that would put you at risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Okay. Now, um, sa diri nga part is folate na ni. Folate na ni siyang trabaho. And 5-MTHF or 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate can actually regenerate cobalamin back to methylcobalamin by donating one methyl group to cobalamin. So para si cobalamin mahimong methylcobalamin. And therefore, kung makuhaan og methyl group si 5-MTHF, then simply mahimo na lang siya THF or tetrahydrofolate. So mauning mga tetrahydrofolate derivatives no, that are the active forms of folate in the body. Okay? Um, yeah. So, just imagine if kulang ang cobalamin sa body, then walay um, walay compound nga mo receive sa methyl group from 5-MTHF. So, possible nga kaning nga derivative sa folate mo increase due to cobalamin deficiency. Just imagine walay cobalamin. So walay ika-donate or unsa ni walay compound nga mo receive aning methyl group kay MTHF. So therefore mo accumulate rin sa blood, and that is usually caused by cobalamin deficiency. So diha na mag-play si folate trap. So mao nang tawag folate trap kay kani nga derivative sa folate na trap tungod kay deficient ang cobalamin. Okay? Pangutana, naabay other compound nga mo receive sa methyl group sa 5-MTHF? Wala, cobalamin ra. So that's why kung deficient kag cobalamin, then mag-accumulate ni, and possible nga ma-deficient pud ka sa THF. And THF baya kay very important in the production of 5-10-MTHF. And 5-10-MTHF is the specific form of folate that is used in the production of DNA. So therefore, kung kulang kag cobalamin, pwede ka magkulang og tetrahydrofolate, and therefore magkulang sa imong 5-10-MTHF, and therefore pwede pud maapektuhan ang DNA production. And if dili ni siya ma-produce properly, then dili sad ta maka-produce og normal red blood cells. So munang ginaingon nato nga magka-megaloblastic anemia ang patient nga kulang sa either B9 or B12 or both, di ba? Megaloblastic anemia, mauna siyang anemia sa B9 and B12. Although kanang megaloblastic anemia more on sa folate siya, pero ang pernicious anemia nga specifically for B12, it's actually a kind of megaloblastic anemia. Nganong megaloblastic anemia ang tawag, it's because dagko siya nga red blood cells pero immature. And that is caused by inadequate production of DNA due to mga alterations or disturbances nga naa diri. Unya, kulang pagyud kag folic acid from diet, so samot. Samot nga dili ka makaproduce og sakto nga red blood cells. So mo nang magka-anemia ka. Okay? Oh, so I hope that's clear, but naatay another illustration here. Um, Again, si B12 kinahanglan para makaproduce para si homocysteine mahimong methionine. And para si B12 ma-regenerate, kinahanglan og 5-methyl-THF. Okay? Para mahimo siyang THF. Okay? And si B12 ma-regenerate sa methylcobalamin nga form. And makit-an po nato diri ang participation ni pyridoxine, ni choline, o diri na klaro na makit-an nato si choline no nga naa diri. And aha pa naa pa tay nutrient nga makit-an diri. Kani B2. B2 is an important coenzyme of methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase. Okay? So it's needed para si 510 MTHF ma-convert into 5 MTHF. Okay? So, naay B2, naay B6, naay choline, naay B12, and of course B9. Yeah. So, mauning makit-an nato ang interaction sa water-soluble vitamins in just one set of reactions. Okay? And maupod na guys nga ang pernicious anemia baya kay magmanifest po siya sa nervous system due to lack of myelin sheath. So, maunang kung kulang kag cobalamin, magkulang sad kag myelin sheath. So, pwede madaot ang imuhang nerve cells. Okay? Maunang mga tigulang need na nilag B12 for their brain, specifically sa kaninga function in maintaining the integrity of myelin sheath. Okay? Okay? So, actually, kani, na-discuss na nako. So, ako na lang basahon otro. Homocysteine is converted to methionine by the enzyme methionine synthase using a methyl group from methylcobalamin. Then the methylcobalamin becomes cobalamin. So there is a constant need to methylate cobalamin in order to generate methionine from homocysteine, or else homocysteine will accumulate. So the body has created a mechanism to do such, using another methyl group from folate in the form of 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate. As a result, 5-MTHF becomes THF. Then what? THF, either from the product of 5-MTHF, demethylation, or diet, can then be converted to 5,10-methylene tetrahydrofolate, but there is no way that 5-MTHF can be converted to 5,10-MTHF, but the reverse can be attained by the enzyme MTHF reductase. So if there is vitamin B12 deficiency, there is no other way the homocysteine can be methylated and transformed to methionine except atong through choline. Okay? So as a result of B12 deficiency, homocysteine would accumulate and the substances needed for the different functions would also not be produced. So some, the ultimate methylating metabolite for myelin sheath synthesis, DNA synthesis and activation of some catecholamines like melatonin and epinephrine. So 5,10-MTHF is the one needed for the conversion of uracil to thymine in order to synthesize DNA. But again, dili na ta makaproduce og 5,10-MTHF kay dili naman matransform ang 5-MTHF into THF. So, the 5-MTHF due to vitamin B12 deficiency would only accumulate And in that, it masks off the deficiency by increasing the folate levels in the blood. So kung mo-increase na gani ni siya nga form sa folate, guys, almost certainly na agad vitamin B12 deficiency. Kay the only situation nga mo increase ni is if kulang ang B12 based sa katong akong gi-explain ganina. So DNA synthesis would not be enough even though 510 MTHF can be attained from THF. So no DNA, no RBCs. Pernicious anemia can therefore occur even if there are enough folate serum levels. 'Di ba? So, ang underlying problem there is B12 deficiency. Okay? Which, would develop to pernicious anemia. So, take note of the involvement of other B vitamins. So, that's it. 'Di ba? O, so naa diri ang biometallation gyapon ni. So, naa si choline, vitamin B6, in the formation of cysteine from homocysteine, and formation of SAM through B12 catalyzed reactions. And yeah, so naasa diri si omega-3 fatty acids which influence gene expression for the proteins necessary or for the enzymes necessary in order for this metabolic map to occur properly. Catechins in the tea are plant phytochemicals that may also influence the function of this particular enzyme that might also affect the production of tetrahydrofolate. Okay? And kani sila tanan are helpful in improving biomethylation. Okay? Except aning alcohol, kay alcohol decreases the activity of these enzymes and would disrupt the biomethylation process. Okay? Yeah, so this is nutritional biochemistry, guys. We study nutrition in the molecular level. And through this way, mas masabtan na ang mga butang-butang. Okay? So, this would be helpful in reasoning out nga nung naiinani, nga nung naiinani later on sa ubang subjects ninyo. Okay? Next is vitamin C. Vitamin C is not grouped under the B-complex vitamins since medyo lahi si vitamin C. Okay? Dili siya part of energy metabolism. Okay? Instead, it's an antioxidant as what I have shown ganina sa iyang relationship with vitamin E, and its anti-infective property since vitamin C is stored by the white blood cells, okay, to help them fight off pathogens. So other function of vitamin C is say tawag ani, other function niya is collagen synthesis and wound healing. Okay. So vitamin C, iyahang role good actually is to maintain certain important substances in the body, especially minerals like iron and copper, in reduced state. That means vitamin C keeps these minerals reduced. So that means si vitamin C iyahang constantly i-reduce kani nga mga minerals. Again, we are talking about chemistry here. So reduction means maghatag ta og electron. Okay, so vitamin C constantly donates electrons to these minerals to keep them constantly in reduced state. So, maunang function ni vitamin C. Why? Nganong kinahanglan nga in the reduced state ang iron or ang copper? Remember that mas bioactive ang iron kung naka-ferrous state. Ferrous state is Fe2+. Then ang oxidized form is Fe3+. So, therefore, para mahimong biologically active ang iron, kinahanglan naa siya sa ferrous state or naa siya sa reduced state. Okay? Because reduced iron and reduced copper is needed by these enzymes as cofactor. Okay? So, what about if naka-ferric state, if naka-oxidized state, dili ni siya mugana as cofactor. Dili na i-recognize sa kaning mga enzyme. So, only ma-recognize sila kung naka-reduced state. And thanks to vitamin C, it keeps them in this kind of state. Okay? So, prolyl hydroxylase and lysyl hydroxylase are enzymes needed in collagen synthesis, especially important in collagen cross-linking or collagen synthesis. Okay? Copper in the reduced state is also needed by the enzyme dopamine hydroxylase, which is important in norepinephrine synthesis. And copper is also needed in new hormone and neurotransmitter production through its cofactor role in peptidylglycine alpha amidating monooxygenase. Okay? Yeah. So, you don't need to memorize this kaning mga enzymes nga kani o kani. Okay. What exactly is the role of vitamin C here? So, asa si vitamin C kani? So, remember ascorbate uh, donates when it donates like say tawag ani electron, so ma-oxidize siya in the process. So mahimo siyang dehydroascorbate. Pero ang ferrous, since nabutangan siya og electron, mahimo siyang Fe3+. Okay? And Fe3+ is the oxidized form. Okay. Okay, sorry. Para si ferric form mahimong ferrous form, kinahanglan nga mag-donate si vitamin C og electron para si ferric state or si oxidized state mahimong reduced state. And remember, it's only the reduced state of iron that is accepted by this enzyme as its cofactor. So, prolyl hydroxylase hydroxylates proline. Then, ang yang product is hydroxyproline. And this is needed in the cross-linking of collagen. Without the cross-linking of collagen, guys, dili kaayos strong ang collagen. So therefore, dali ra madaot ang skin kung inana. So that's why it's being marketed, vitamin C is being marketed as a beauty product because para nindot ang skin, nindot dapat ang collagen, and collagen cross-linking is very important to attain that. And para mag-cross-link ang mga ah ang collagen, then kinahanglan og prolyl hydroxylase and lysyl hydroxylase. Okay? So, same. Si lysyl hydroxylase, mag-media pun siya og ferrous nga form para um, magamit siya ni lysyl hydroxylase in hydroxylating lysine to hydroxylysine. And in the process, since magamit man si ferrous, ma-oxidize si ferrous, may mo siyang oxidized form nga ferrit. But don't worry, there is vitamin C here that constantly keeps the ferrous in that form and not ferric para magamit siya sa enzyme. Diba? So, inana lang. Okay, so I hope that's easy for you to understand. Okay. It might be overwhelming no sa pagtanaw nato sa picture, but inana ra di ay siya kasimple. Okay? So, if nindot ang collagen production, then chances are nindot pud ang wound healing. So that's why very important ang vitamin C sa wound healing due to this mechanism. Okay? So I'm afraid I have to stop the recording here. So dili dahil siya ang last nga part. So naapay six part and that's the last part. Okay? So the last part would be the minerals. Okay? So ako sa stop ang recording here.